Well, we've had quite the pleasant and honestly quite cool evening. Temperatures in the 70s earlier quickly plummeted into the 50s. And yes, that's a bit of a cool one when you go from the sunshine to that this time of night. Here's your Savannah Cam view. We're looking out over the Bull River Bridge towards Tybee Island from the Bull River rather. Notice the horizon there. And I know the lighting can be a little bit deceiving at this hour. That glint off in the distance is actually sea fog moving in and developing in the area. There is a dense fog advisory in effect essentially every county along I-95, exception really being the inland portion of Jasper County. But either way, use caution with your drive. 1/4 mile visibility is possible at times. However, not looking to be quite as dense as what we saw Sunday morning. So either way, we will count our victories when we certainly have them. So fog is primed to form at this hour, 52 degrees officially. That humidity is not quite to 100% at Savannah Hilton International Airport yet. When it hits 100%, that's when you start to get clouds forming, aka fog, when it's right at the ground. Very light winds out of the south continue. Those do shift by the time we get into tomorrow. But one of the ingredients we need for fog is a very settled down atmosphere. Viper radar is showing you that, with all the ground clutter being visible rather into the area. So let's go into Monday. Low temperature tonight, 46 degrees. We're going to have a very cool start yet again. Fog's going to be around early, but northeast winds pick up, and this will allow those temperatures to really be more influenced by the ocean. But nevertheless, it will break some of the clouds early. However, eventually we do get the humidity to go up, and we do get some clouds in play, especially as we got that more mild air mass in play. Overcast skies essentially past about 7 to 8 o'clock. I mentioned those winds. They're going to pick up. We're going to have pretty calm winds to start. That wedge of cooler air moves in. That brings us northeast winds at about 10 to 20 miles per hour when factoring in gusts. Higher gusts are even possible, or that including right along the sea islands compared to, say, what you might normally find. Winds will still remain in place, but you do eventually find them developing out of the southeast at times late into Tuesday. So in our region now, we have a cold front moving through. That's going to slot through the area and continue to overall bring the brief round of changes. The wedge of colder air I'm talking about, essentially, you see high pressure above the banner there over the northeast. That sends northeast winds down the eastern side of the Appalachian Mountains. It's a unique pattern for our region. It brings us a wedge of cooler air. Watch the cloud cover increase with that, and it's generally right along the coast where you do find it. Either way, it just brings us a milder, cooler day and limits what maybe high pressure is going to bring later in the week. But either way, more clouds on into Tuesday morning. It's going to take a while, but we'll find breaks in the clouds as southeast winds develop. That's when we're going to find those changes in play. And the wedge finally breaks down Wednesday. You're going to have a lot more sunshine to contend with. I do think the Vipercast here is being a little generous on how much cloud cover we have. Cold fronts are not even going to be able to make it into the southeast as well because of how strong ridge of high pressure is going to develop in its wake. So for tonight, overcast conditions develop due to fog essentially being in play. This is mainly an issue along the 95 corridor, but I won't rule it out for inland areas either. 46 tonight warms up to, I'm going to generally say this in the best way possible, south of I-16, you're likely going to be in the 70s. In the low country, it may be hard to hit 60 along the coast. Gusts of 25 miles per hour are possible. That is also true on the water, where a small craft advisory is in effect. Northeast winds of 15 to 25 knots, 3 to 5 foot seas. You're going to get a longer look at the 7-day forecast in about 10 minutes, but a cooler day Monday, that's only a speed bump because look at the end of the week. Other than the stray passing showers, warmth with 80s for highs for several days on end.
Definitely motivating to see the warm weekend upcoming for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's definitely nice, but I feel like we're used to seeing it heat up at the start of March. What we're not used to seeing is a player do what a Georgia Southern baseball player just did today. They hadn't done it in 7 years. Find out what they did.